Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Rowing Chat, the podcast for rowers. I'm Rebecca Caro, and today this episode is sponsored by the Rowing Directory. If you want to find a gift, an alternative supplier of accessories or electronics or boats or clothing, we've got loads of them listed for you. I've been searching around the world for all the different people who have businesses that are associated with rowing. So you could find yourself a rowing camp, you could find yourself a coach, you can find yourself a training program. You could find a nice gift for somebody. Go to rowing.chat and look at the top menu where it says directory, and you'll find them all listed by category. And if there's a business that you think should be there and isn't, please get in touch. Now, today, I'm delighted to welcome as my guest on Rowing Chat, Alex Ribas. Hello.
Hi, Rebecca.
It's lovely to have you here. And I wanted to say you're the first Brazilian rower who's been on the podcast, but I'm afraid I discover it's not true. Can you guess who I previously interviewed at London 2012?
London, I don't know.
It was before then. The woman single sculler.
Fabiana,
who was delightful. We had a very fun time, mainly because my Portuguese is zero and her English is pretty good. So, Alexandre, tell everybody a bit about you and where you row.
Okay. I'm a Brazilian. I live in the city of São Paulo. I'm 50. And I started rowing when I was 15. I have a company. Actually, I work for an American company here in Brazil for 20 years. I'm married. I have 3 kids. And I have been an entrepreneur since I was 26 years old. What else?
So who got you started in rowing?
I started because I was in the school vacation doing nothing, like eating sweet stuff, listening to music with a friend. And we were we were bored. And he said, I have a friend who is rowing. And I had no idea what was rowing at that time. And then I talked to my mother, and she talked to her sister. And her sister, my aunt, said, my daughter is dating a guy who is a rower.
Oh.
So, and then he took us there to the rowing club. And then we were 6 at the beginning. And I was the only one who stayed there. As usual, I believe, from 100 at the end, 1 or 2 stays for competition, I mean.
Yes. What was the name of the club in Sao Paulo?
The name is Corinthians. Is the same of the soccer team.
Oh, yes. This is interesting because in your part of the world, bear in mind, I live in New Zealand, you often have combined clubs where they do several different sports. Is this quite normal?
This is very interesting because most of the soccer teams, or at least the most popular teams, started as a rowing club in Rio and São Paulo. Yeah. And rowing in São Paulo and in Rio was more popular than soccer at the beginning. So if you go to, for instance, Flamengo was started as a rowing club. Vasco da Gama, Corinthians, many important soccer clubs in Brazil started this as a rowing club. And then came soccer, and then usually, for instance, in the weekends, the families used to go to the lakes and rivers to watch rowing competitions. Okay, and then changed. At least in São Paulo, changed. One of the reasons was because of the river became very polluted, and then the rowing moved to the University of São Paulo, which was a new place, a rowing course, and then came soccer with the TV and soccer games on the TV and etc. And then soccer became the most popular sport in Brazil.
Yeah, so the Brazilians went crazy for soccer, and of course, multiple world champions. Am I right? Brazil has been world champion more than any other country?
Yeah, maybe 5 times.
5 times.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
When I came to the Rio Olympics, we visited Sao Paulo, but I didn't find the rowing club. But I remember we were out in the streets in the evening, and there was a big soccer game from the Olympics going on. And these tiny little corner rooms that were maybe a bar with space for like 15 people inside, and they would have the television, and people were standing outside in the streets, the moms with the kids, and they were all watching the game.
Yeah. In Rio, rowing is very popular. Out of the 4 more important soccer clubs in Rio, three have rowing. Flamengo, Vasco da Gama, and Botafogo. And the rowing competitions in Rio are really tough, are really popular also. So probably it's the city where we have the rowing, where rowing is more developed in Brazil is in Rio.
And I happen to know there's a successful German coach called Bernhard Stomporowski. I think he is coaching at Flamengo.
Yeah, Flamengo.
Yeah. And do they all row on the Lagoa de Freitas?
Yeah. Lagoa Rodrigo de Freitas.
Thank you. I'm not going to correct my pronunciation, but it was a fabulous venue. And of course, that was where we had all of those amazing photographs from the Rio Olympics with the city in the background. And I got lost one day, and I was trying to return to my hotel, and I got on a bus. And the bus ended up, I think, just going around most of the outside of the lake. And I discovered that I had no clue where I was. It was very interesting as a sightseeing, but it wasn't so good for me for public transport. So rowing in Brazil, there is obviously a national team, there is a federation, and a lot of local competitions. The young Alex, how did he get excited? Why was he the one kid out of 6 who decided to stay rowing?
Before I tried soccer, basketball, tennis, and just when I went to the rowing club that I was really, how can I say, something happened and I stayed. I was a really weak young person, and I don't know why I stayed, and I really loved the sport, and I made a lot of friends, good coaches, when everything goes well, and I had the support of my parents to go, because my mother had to take me to the after school. So, and then I would say that the environment was really, really, really great. Good people, good values, and that's why probably for many reasons I stayed there. And then I liked to compete, and then I started to compete. I was just some people will not like about what I'm going to say, but at the beginning I was a loser, because I was just losing rowing for Corinthians. And then we had another club that was always winning, and I said, I want to be a winner, I don't want to be a loser, so I'm going to change my rowing club. And then I moved to the other one, and the name is Bandeirante, Clube de Regatas Bandeirante, the one I'm rowing now. And the people there were really great, and then I had better conditions for my training, and then I started to win, and then it was even better.
When you were in those young days, when you were still at school, what boats were you rowing in?
I started, the first was the 4 with coxed.
Yes.
Yeah. And then and the 8 also.
Oh,
And
yes.
yeah, the pair with cox, 4 with cox, the 8.
So
And
all of
then,
the speed boats first.
yeah. And then when I moved to the other rowing club, then I started the cockless pair. And then I that's the boat that I rode the most. I still row that boat, cockless pair.
So my favorite boat, I think, of all time is the Cox's pair. Talk to me about what is it about the pair that makes it so special? You obviously love it.
Which one? Sorry.
Coxless pair. What is it about that? Why is a pair
Uh,
so special for you?
I I believe the cockless pair is the most difficult boat to row, but for me it's the easiest because I rowed that boat since I was I don't know, since I was 19. Uh, and I'm still rowing with the same partner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Obviously, sometimes I row with other people, but with the same partner. So he's a really, really close friend. He's my rowing brother, I would say.
Yes. Yes. What's his name?
So, Beto
Emma.
Nascimento, José Roberto Nascimento, or Beto Nascimento. So when we row or when we compete, for instance, I love
Yes.
to compete with him. We don't need to talk. It seems like we we can communicate just with our thinking. So it's really easy, nice, and when you row that boat with a good partner, it's really a nice sensation. And for us, as I said, it's for me it's the easiest boat to row, easier than cockless 4 or the 8 or the 4 skiff, double skiff, or single
It's a
skiff.
really it's a really good example of how you get an extreme benefit after your second, third, fourth year together. The benefit far outweighs the strength of the athletes, the height of the athletes, their skill, that somehow there is something that comes together and adds like 10%, 15% of speed advantage.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
So when you have been together for many years, you have an advantage over all of the other crews who have not had, in your case,
Oh
20, 30 years
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
rowing together.
yeah. For us, it's like riding a bicycle when we row together, for instance. And we understand each other. When he knows when I'm not in a good mood, I know when he's not in a good mood. So we are much more flexible and tolerant nowadays. Not at the
Yeah.
beginning, but nowadays. And as I said, when we are rowing strong, for instance, we know so much each other that we almost don't need to talk to each other. We understand each other. If I change, for instance, I'm the stroke. So when I change the rhythm, I don't need to tell him because he understands and he sees that I'm changing, for instance. So it becomes much easier.
Yeah. You can save your breath. You don't need to, yeah.
Yeah. When he makes a mistake, I don't need to complain because I know that he knows how to do something happened.
Yes.
And probably the same when I make a mistake and he knows that the next is going to be okay.
When you're racing together on a long course, who does the calls? Who says what you're going to do?
Yeah. Usually Beto is the one who says what to do, but it doesn't mean that I do what he wants me to do all the time.
Really?
We already won races just because I did what he asked me to do, and also other times I didn't do, and we won also, and I believe I was right. But at the end, what the most important thing is trust. If I don't do what he's asked me to do, he needs to trust me, and I also needs to trust him. Sometimes, for instance, I remember a time that we were racing an 8, and we were second. I was the stroke, and he was behind me, and we were having a hard time to come first. And he said, "Change your rhythm, do this and do that." And I did exactly what he asked me to do, and we won the race. So this is another thing that we learn rowing, the importance to trust. Teamwork is important, but trust probably is the most important thing.
And of course, you have to have the faith that you will try the thing that they are suggesting, even if in the moment you do not think, or sometimes my brain doesn't move fast enough when I'm rowing and racing. I can't think, is this right? Is this wrong? Sometimes it's just really good for someone to tell me what to do, and I just do it.
Yeah.
So do you spend a lot of time afterwards talking about why this worked or something else didn't work?
Yes, we have to. We have to. I would say that most of the time I listen and I do what other people that I trust are asking me to do. But sometimes you have an instinct that you have to do something different. Then you have to also believe in your instinct. But most of the time, I believe that in order to be a good rower, you have to have a good relationship with authority people. Like the authority could be your coach, could be your rowing partner. So it's important to have this healthy relationship with these figures, this kind of people. But at the same time, you have to trust your instinct. Sometimes everybody's saying to you, go right, and you have a feeling that you have to go left, and sometimes you have to go left.
It's very true. And it is one of the things that obviously experience teaches you. Do you find that, at what age did you start to feel this trust? Because when we're young and we're being taught, as you say, by authority figures who may be a coach or a parent or at school, you are used to doing as you are told. And then I think slowly the balance moves and you are allowed to say things or make suggestions. Did you notice this happening in your career?
Yeah, at the beginning, I used to do 100% what the coach was asking me to do, and as I said in the email, in 1994, we won. Beto and I, we won the cockless pair and the pair with cocks, the Brazilian rowing championship. It was in 1994. After 43 years, that the state of São Paulo didn't win any race in the Brazilian championship. But in 1989, 5 years before, we lost a race because I did when the coach asked me to do.
Tell me more about it. Tell me the exact story.
Okay. We were like 17. It was I was 16, 17. We were 17. And the coach asked, it was a 4 with cocks.
Yeah.
It was Beto and I and 2 more friends. And I was the stroke. And then the coach asked me to do like many short, how can I say, strokes at the beginning.
Yeah, at the start, yeah.
At the start. And after I finished, when he asked me to do, we were the last in the race. And then we started to recover. And then we finished just 1 second behind Flamengo. and we had a wood boat.
Yes.
Flamengo at that time had an empacher.
Wow.
Which was like kind of unique in Brazil in 1989. And we had a Brazilian wood-made boat, so really heavy. And we lost for just 1 second. So at that time I lost, but I was really happy. But probably the more you compete and you know yourself sometimes, and then you start to realize that you also have to listen your inner voice. Sometimes it's really important to listen those who have more experience and who are watching you from outside, like they are watching you things that you are not watching. Okay, so that's really important. That's always important. But then you start to feel that you can make your own decisions also, and as I said, to listen your intuition or instinct. But at the beginning, I was like this, like 100 what the coach used to ask me. But as I said, I can't complain because it's always a learning experience, a learning curve. Like we always learning something. For instance, at the time, I learned that I had to it's not always that the coach is right. His intention was 100% good. He wanted the best for us, and he was a nice guy. He wanted the best for us. He thought he was asking us to do the right thing. But what I learned is okay, but sometimes we have to change, or we have to do in a different way.
That's really interesting. Now, you had a personal rowing dream. What was it?
My rowing dream was to go to the Olympics. That happened. I didn't tell you, but that happened in 1980 when I was in my grandfather farm. He was a farmer in Brazil, and I was watching the 1980 Olympics in Moscow. I was 8 years old, and at that time I was watching TV. I was watching Nadia Comaneci.
Oh yes, the perfect 10 on the gymnastic beam. Yes.
Yeah. At that moment, I thought I want to go one day to the Olympics, and then that was my dream. In 1994, we finished. That's not official, okay, but that's just my opinion. But I believe we finished as the best boat in Brazil, my partner and I, in 1994, and we were going to, in January, we were going to row again against a boat from Flamengo to decide which boat was going to go to the Pan American Games in Mar del Plata. And we are going to row against the same boat that we won the Brazilian Championship.
Yes.
It was going to be easy, but we had a good chances to go. And then I hurt my back, and I had to stop rowing.
Oh, was that your first big injury?
Yeah. So, and then I stopped. And I believe that our biggest chance to go to the Olympics would be Atlanta, 96.
Yeah.
Because my coach went to Mar del Plata and said that we had chances to win the gold if we were there. So if we had won the gold, and if we could keep improving, we had a good chances to go to Atlanta, I believe. But then I stopped rowing, and I said at that time, I'm not going to row, never again.
Really?
So I stayed 10 years doing nothing, absolutely nothing during that 10 years. And then in 2004, a woman came to my office to talk about what I do here in Brazil. And that woman was the girlfriend of Beto, my partner. And he asked me, why don't you return? And I said, are you crazy? I'm already 32 years old. When I stopped, I was 22. I'm 32. For 10 years, I do nothing. I'm working, and I don't have time. So no way, never. I'm going to do that again. And then the next morning, I called Beto. I called Beto, and then I asked him to go for lunch with me, and I asked him, what if we return to end what we started? And then I went to two doctors, and he said, okay, yes. And I went to two doctors, and both said that I wouldn't be able to return because of my back injury. And both said, no, you are not going to return. It's not possible for you to return to that level. And I said, okay, but I will try. And then I tried. And after 1 year and 3 months, so I stayed from mid 2004 to the beginning of 2005, working my back to make it stronger. And then we returned to row beginning of it was January 2005, we started again. And March 2006, we had the first competition in Brazil for the Pan American Games, to select the rowers for the Pan American Games, March 2006. And we finished second in the coxed pair. So, and then we were back to the national team after that, after just 1 year and 3 months rowing.
Did Roberto try and continue in the national team after you injured your back, or did he also just row for the club?
No, he continued. But as her girlfriend said, he wasn't happy because he was happy just with me. So that's why I had to return.
So of course the girlfriend is the magic wand. She's the person.
Yeah. And then we went to the Pan American Games in Rio, and we finished second in the 8, losing just for the US. But in order to go to Beijing, we had to finish first. We had to finish first in the Pan American Games to go to the World Cup in order to see if we could go to Beijing. So because we finished second, so we couldn't go to the World Cup. So and then I stopped. But it was already okay too. Like for us, Pan American Games in Brazil is really, really important because it's so difficult for us to win medals in the Olympics. Rowing never had a medal in the Olympics in Brazil, never. But rowing, many. So for us, for this Brazilian sport, it's very important, Pan American Games, because it's where we win medals and we go to the TV, and then we have marketing for the sport. So it's really important for us.
So what an amazing story, a comeback, which many people would not believe is possible. And from this, you must have learned a lot of life lessons about things that happen in rowing but are useful outside rowing.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Many lessons. One of them is listen to your heart, or listen to your soul, or something similar. If you are emotionally balanced and you listen to a voice that you have to keep going, or you have to try. This is one thing, because the doctor said you won't make it. And I thought, I'm not the one who is going to say, or it's not the doctor, it's the nature, the future, or God, whatever is going to say. So let me wait. I'm not the one who is going to tell you are going to do or not. I will try. For instance, when when we are rowing, when I was rowing, for instance, for the national team, we had to go to row like 11, 12 times a week. Sometimes it was cold, it was raining, we were tired, and we had many blisters in the hand, and we had to manage so many things, and and that how can and then after a while you understand that you can do that.
Yes.
You can wake up at 4 in the morning, and you can go to the rowing club, and then you can go to the university, or you can go to work, and sometimes you can row again in the afternoon or at night. And it's so, for those who have never rowed, they believe we are crazy. That it's insane what we do, but we can do, and we can use this what we can use these experiences in life when we are tired, when we want to give up, because sometimes you row like 1 year, 2 years for one competition, and you have to give up. You have to stop going out with your friends, or you have to go to bed early. You are not going to drink what you want or to eat what you want. And no one tells you that, okay, you are not going to drink, you're not going to eat, you're not going to get out, you're not going to travel with your friends, and you are going to receive the prize, the award or the prize. It's maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe you are going to get a medal. Maybe. Okay, so you have to trust yourself and have faith. And that's a good lesson for life. Another thing is how important is, for instance, in rowing, many times I rowed with people that I didn't like. But when we were together in the boat, you have to do your best to help him to do his best, even if you don't like that person. Because if you don't do your best to help that person you don't like, you're not going to win, probably. So, and that helps in life also. It's sometimes we have to work with people or that we actually don't like. We wouldn't invite that person to go at night to your house to eat a pizza or eat something. But rowing teaches it, in my opinion. Okay. So, what else? To have a goal, for instance, right now, I'm talking to a friend because we want to go to Brandenburg in 2024 for the World Master Regatta.
Yes.
Okay. For those rowers that I'm talking that have already been in the national team or have already competed in the past, they understand when you say, okay, it's time for us. It's 2 years. We are not in a hurry. We are in an age that's not mandatory to go. We maybe we don't go. We don't know. But if we want to go, we have to start thinking now. And some people have to start to manage their finance, and we have to start growing. But for those who are rowing or right now and never rowed in a high, how can I say, high level,
Yeah.
and good competitions, they don't understand. They want to decide like 3 months before or 4 months before. Okay. And I said, no, I'm not going to spend my money going to Germany because if I want to spend my money rowing 4 months before to the competition, I'm going to spend that money with my family, traveling with my family. Okay, if I go with my friends to row, I'm not saying I'm going to win, but I want to row to win. And
Yes.
that's not about right now in my age. That's not about ambition. It's about to do the best you can with your friends. If you win, it's great. If you don't win, it's great. But at least you have that feeling that you did your best.
Yes.
That's really, really nice to have that feeling that, okay, we did it. And I was talking to a friend like maybe 2 hours ago. He used to be my coach. Now we row together. And we were talking about Brandenburg, and we talked, okay, it's even if we don't go, for instance, without a goal, it's really hard for me to row. My discipline is really high when I have a goal. When I don't have a goal, I don't have discipline. So and he's the same. And we were talking about it. Okay, let's put a goal, because otherwise I don't go to the rowing club.
Yeah.
So if we put a goal like Brandenburg 2024, that's something that help us to go, help us to meet. So we were talking, if we have a goal, we are going to row more times together. We are going to see each other more. And it's important. It's going to help our health. And if we don't go to Brandenburg, we are going to have so many benefits because we had that goal. And if we go to Brandenburg, we are going to row to win. And if we win with friends, it's so amazing when we are friends. And now we have the right to choose. At the past, we didn't have the right to choose. We have to row with that.
That's different.
Yeah. When I was in the national team, I had absolutely no right to choose. But now I have. So it's even nicer. Now it's nicer.
It is even nicer. Masters rowing definitely has some benefits.
Yeah.
Alex, that's wonderful. Brilliant insight into not only your own personal experience, but also how robustly you had to face some really big challenges, which many of us never ever get. And to defy 2 doctors and return to rowing at the highest level is in itself an incredible achievement. And you obviously have your Pan American medal.
Yes, I have, but not with me now. But I have. Sorry.
It's been wonderful talking to you, hearing a little bit about rowing in Brazil and your own personal journey through sport. Personally, I very much hope that we will meet in Brandenburg, or if you choose to go to South Africa the year before, which maybe is my next goal, maybe we will meet then. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Okay, thank you.
So this has been Rowing Chat with me, Rebecca Caro, and you can subscribe to get a weekly email with notifications of new episodes. Go to rowing.chat and you'll find the sign up form there. Please tell your friends and leave a review. And if you have any suggestions of people who I might interview in the future, let me know. Till next time.